What's good, everybody? It's your man's Ken Jackson. This is the Ken Jackson Experience. Tonight we're talking about male and female. What are you?
See, the game is lame and absurd, but you spit. You need to sit back and observe. Certified pimp, so oh yes he is. I mean that boy does the shit. He's a mess he is. Fresh to death. Ain't nobody fresh as he is. They can't compare or get next to him because he's so fly. I mean the boy's so clean. From his white tee home down to those jeans. You see the ice in the pinky.
All right, everybody. This is the Ken Jackson Experience. Welcome to the show. I could say this is the first official real show that I'm actually doing for this year since I decided to get serious with this thing. And tonight we're talking about a very, very touchy subject. In recent years, genders have become an arguable point. Male, female, cisgender, or transgender, or whatever gender you feel yourself to be. And it's become such a hot button issue that it's actually technically on the ballot. What are we, male or female? When did that even become a question? I mean, I'm of the mindset that your chromosomes determine what you are, whether we like it or not. Male, female, in my humble opinion, that's all there is. You know, quite honestly, I don't care what you feel like you are. Nature made you what you are. And some of you will argue me down about that, and that's fine. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. I don't look at you any differently if you determined or you feel within your own mind that you're not male or female. Non-binary, I think that's what they call it. But it's, to me, a crazy thought process. I feel like something's wrong mentally, with people who say, well, I'm neither male nor female. And you can't argue with science. You can't argue with biology and anatomy. Again, my opinion. Now, another thing that's going on now is the topic of transgender athletes and transgender men, transgender women. In my opinion, neither men nor women. I mean, you are what you are. I mean, they are men or they are women, but not because of some doctor cutting them up and saying, okay, you're now a man or you're now a woman. Men don't have ovaries. I'm sorry. Women don't have penises. It's just the way it is. That's the way God made us. He purposely made us male and female for the purposes of reproduction. So now, a transgender man can't have babies, can't make babies. A transgender woman can't plant the seeds to produce babies. It's just impossible. It is biologically impossible. So why is there such an argument about gender? It seems like they're trying to eliminate genders altogether and just say, oh, well, we're all the same, but we're not. We're not like fish. We're not asexual. We can't change our biology, like certain fish can do. Some fish can actually become female or become male based on the environment that they're in and the need for life to survive. Life finds a way. But humans aren't like that. If we have a colony of just women, none of those women are going to grow penises and start producing sperm within their bodies so that they can make babies with other women. It's not going to happen. And vice versa. Men, a colony full of just men aren't going to suddenly start growing ovaries, and vaginas so that, they can procreate and continue surviving. It's just not going to happen. At least not in our time. Now, who knows what evolution may bring, millions of years down the road. It could end up that way. It could. The fact that we all exist is proof that anything is possible. So, but we are going to destroy our society if we don't get a grip on this bullshit ASAP. Now, I'm no scientist. I'm no physicist or biologist or anything like that, but it doesn't take any of those to understand the fact that I'm a dude, I'm a man, I'm male. My chromosomes tell me so. X and Y, goddammit. And I'll be the first to tell you, I could never be a woman. I couldn't be a woman. There are certain things that female bodies go through that I know I could not deal with. I couldn't go through menstrual cycles and all of the other things that women have to deal with. I couldn't push a damn baby out. I'm so glad I don't have a vagina. I could not. I watched all three of my kids be born. And let me tell you, I have so much respect for women that can do that. If you can push a people out of your body, you are tougher than I will ever be in life. That is something that I could never imagine myself doing. So big ups to the mothers out there, because y'all have definitely something to be proud of. The fact that you can push people out of your bodies, to me, is freaking amazing. I can never do it. But there's also a lot of things that women can't do that are more suited for men. You know what I'm saying? I heard a very interesting conversation. Just yesterday, I was watching a video. And it's an old interview of John McEnroe, and they were asking him about the best tennis players in the world. And then they specifically asked him about Serena Williams. And he said, yeah, she's absolutely the greatest female tennis player of all time, in his opinion. Then they asked him, well, why did you have to say female? Because that's what she is. She's the greatest female tennis player of all time. And you can't compare her to male tennis players, because men and women are two totally different animals, whether you like it or not. And the fact that now we have these transgender men, transgender males or whatever, wanting to participate in women's sports, I ain't feeling none of that, because it's still a man competing against women, and it's not fair. It's just not fair. And again, a lot of you will probably argue that, but even Serena Williams said it herself. She said, you put me against, I forget, the male player that she mentioned specifically, but she said she couldn't win. She would lose within minutes, straight sets, because men are physically stronger. Men are physically faster. They serve harder. They serve faster. And she said herself, she wouldn't be able to compete against that as a woman. There was another example where a professional female soccer team played against a high school boys soccer team. And these high school boys ravaged these women on the field. It wasn't even close. And again, it's not to say that the female players weren't skillful. It's not to say that they weren't great at what they do. But they're not men. They were not men. And they were actually competing against young boys. And got beat down on the field, basically. I heard a discussion not too long ago about, the WNBA and the NBA. Why aren't WNBA players paid the same as NBA players? Well, first of all, the WNBA doesn't sell the tickets that the NBA sells. They just don't. They don't draw the crowds, which is what sports money is based on. They sell tickets. They get butts in the seats in the big arenas. And because they get butts in the seats, and advertisers like that, so the advertisers offer big endorsement checks to certain superstar players, the men get the big dollars because people go to the men's games. It's not to say the female sports and women's sports aren't as exciting, because a lot of female sports are very exciting. However, they don't have the ticket receipts to justify the same pay that men get. It's just not there yet. And it's going to take time for that industry to develop. So, no, I'm sorry, ladies, you just can't get paid the same as the men players because you don't pull the ticket sales. And then somebody said, well, why don't they play women's games just before men's games, and split the... No. That's not a solution, because then you're taking away from the male players who, honestly, most people come to see. That's just it. I can remember several times growing up where in high school, we had girls who wanted to play on the male football team. I thought that was crazy as hell, because when they started doing this, they started changing the rules. They started making it so that, you can't tackle the kickers, or if it's a girl, she can't be tackled the same way you would tackle guys. So they started changing the rules to make it easier. I thought that was so unfair. When I was in the Navy, when I first went into the Navy, women weren't allowed on frontline combat ships. And part of the reasoning behind that was just that women weren't physically strong enough to do some of the things that were required. Hell, a lot of the men weren't strong enough. And one example was, say, on board ship. I was on an aircraft carrier, and we had a lot of decks, a lot of compartments, a lot of ladders to climb, especially if you were below decks in like engineering or something like that. And one of the scenarios was that, hey, we got man down, and it's up to the rest of you to get this man up above, to upper decks, to get him medical attention or to save their life. And where it would take two men to haul somebody like my big ass out of there, I'm a 200 plus pound dude, it would take 3 to 4 women. Same as firefighting on board ship. We had 4-inch fire hoses. And if a fire broke out, you needed to be able to handle that fire hose when it was fully charged. And believe me, it's not an easy task. It's not an easy task. Usually took 2 to 4 men to control a fire hose when it was charged. That same fire hose couldn't be handled by 2 to 4 women. It just couldn't. They were just not physically capable. They didn't have the upper body strength to be able to do it. But eventually they started integrating women into, frontline combat vessels, which is okay if they can do the job. But in my opinion, the risks are higher. The risks are much higher. And then not only that, call me old-fashioned or whatever, I just don't feel like a combat vessel or frontline combat is where a woman should be anyway. And that's not chauvinistic. That's just, like I said, call me old-fashioned, but I don't think women should be out there fighting wars. I think that's a man's thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't like fighting wars anyway. I didn't want to go to war. However, I didn't want to see my mother and my sisters, and my daughters on the front line in combat. I didn't want to see my brothers out there, so I damn sure didn't want to see the women folk out there. Not because I didn't feel like they were capable fighters. I just feel like it wasn't the place for the girls. We needed the women back home, taking care of home, taking care of the families. Let us go out and do the dirty work, especially if women got captured. Oh my God, I couldn't imagine what it was like for the women who were captured, during wartime. And there have been a lot of women captured. And it's a horrible experience. It's horrible for men. But the things that they would do to women was just unimaginable. And again, call me what you want. But you know what? It's my opinion. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. A lot of people will say, well, Ken, you're old school, this, that, or the other. And you know what? I'll take that. I own that. I don't care what you call me. But I just feel like men and women have roles to play. Just like on any team, everybody has a role and position to play. And for those of you out there that say, well, men and women are equal, we're not. We are not equal. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. We are different. We are different. But nowadays, it's become so politically incorrect, to point out those facts. My daughter, my youngest daughter, went into the Army. She was in the Army for a little while. Broke my heart. I never told her that. But it broke my heart that she went into the Army because I didn't want to ever have to deal with the thought that my daughter could end up in combat somewhere. I don't know what I would have done if we would have ended up going to war while my daughter was on active duty. That would have tore me up. Not because I don't think my daughter could have handled it, because I know she can handle it. She's a Jackson, goddammit. I raised her. Me and her mama raised her to be tough. We raised all of our children to be strong. But I just don't want to see my daughters in those types of situations. But she chose to go. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't going to say, oh, well, hell no, you can't do this, that, or the other. No, I'm always going to support my children in whatever they choose to do. However, it still broke my heart. And I'm so glad, she made it home, okay. And, that's that. That's just how I feel. You know what I mean? But as far as this gender thing that we're going through now in our society, it's control. It's out of control. Remember when Bruce Jenner, because I'm going to call him Bruce Jenner, call me disrespectful or whatever, but when I grew up, he was the Olympic athlete on the Wheaties box. You know what I'm saying? He was a man's man back then. You know what I'm saying? He was, what a lot of young boys, were striving to be, a great athlete, and this, that, or the other. And then when he came out of the closet and decided that he wanted to be a transgender woman, I was like, wow, I never saw that coming. Well, no, wait a minute. I did see it coming later, in the later episodes of the Kardashians, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, because he started looking weird in those later episodes. And then he had to say, what's going on with Bruce? And then he came out as Caitlyn Jenner. But listen, that first year, after he did his transition, and I believe it was Time magazine, was it Time or Vogue that voted him Woman of the Year? I was flabbergasted. Women should have been offended. You know what I'm saying? Women should have been offended by that, because I will take it to my grave. I'll never recognize him as a woman. I just won't. I refuse to. I refuse to. And any other transgender person, I'm not going to recognize them for other than what they were born as. I don't agree with transgender women using women's bathrooms, and vice versa. I don't agree with transgenders, playing sports, come up with their own league. If that's what they want to do, if they want to play football, baseball, then come up with a transgender league. Because it's just not right. There is something wrong when when somebody, imagine Mike Tyson. If Mike Tyson woke up tomorrow and said, you know what? I'm a female now. I identify as a woman, and I'm going to get back into boxing. Could you imagine what woman is going to beat Mike? Nobody. He would be able to fight 2, 3, 4 fights a day for the next year, and he would demolish every woman they put in front of him. Think about that. Look at Brittany Griner. Do you think Brittany Griner would last a day in the NBA against LeBron, against the likes of Shaq? I mean, think about it. What's the young girl's name? I forget the young girl now that just left college and went into the WNBA. I heard Ice Cube offered her a big contract to play in his Big 3 league. Come on, knock it off. Unless you got a Big 3 league of just women players, then I could see. But knock it off with the bullshit. Come on, y'all. Y'all know that ain't right. And again, I will take it to my grave. I am never, ever going to recognize transgenders for other than what they were born as. Now, that's not to say that I'm not going to respect however you feel like you feel. If you want to call yourself, this, that, or the other, that's fine. But don't make me out to be crazy because I'm not recognizing it. I'm not with the pronouns, and I'm just not. And hey, you know what? My show might get canceled on this very first real show. You know what I'm saying? But hey, I will stand on business. As T.I.'s son said, I'm standing on business. All right? Wow. But anyway, hey, I'm going to open up the phone lines here because if you want to comment on that, you can get into the chat right here on YouTube, Crazy Baby TV World, or, you can call in live and we can talk about it. Phone lines are open. Men or women, what are you? What are we? I am 100% man, although I don't feel like it in my older age because, as I get older, some of the male parts don't operate the same and body doesn't feel the same, but I'm still a man. That's a fact. I was born male and I will be male until the grave. All right, so let's get to this next subject because this is crazy. The other day we did we did the recap, the debate recap. Oh my God, I'm starting to feel like Biden. Couldn't think straight. We did the recap, and this asswipe, Donald Trump, said that they are coming and taking the black jobs. And I was like, what the fuck is a black job? What the fuck is a Hispanic job? Listen, man, if y'all don't understand that Donald Trump is a grade A, 100% racist, I don't know what it's going to take to convince you. I just don't understand. During Charlottesville, he said there were good people on both sides. These people were out here marching with Nazi flags, with Confederate flags, and he was, basically trying to justify their existence. Trying to say, hey, and granted, they had a right to be out there because this is America, and unfortunately, being American is what it's all about. It's what America stands for. People have the right to protest and voice their opinions, and share their thoughts publicly without fear of retribution. Unfortunately, there's a lot of retribution in this country. In fact, Donald Trump is talking about retribution if he gets back in office. He's talking about the very thing that he claims is being done to him, the weaponization of the DOJ. Of course, we know it's bullshit. The DOJ hasn't been weaponized against him. Donald Trump is a criminal. He's always been a criminal. He's a grifter. He's a con man. Excuse me. He's a racist. Plain and simple. And he uses people to his advantage. But it's only the idiots that follow him. Yes, I called you idiots, degenerates, because something's wrong with you if you think this guy is fit to be president of the United States again. He wasn't fit the first time. And when he got elected, I thought it was a fluke until I realized that damn near half the country supported this guy. Thank God for you 7 million voters who tipped the scales in the last election. And damn it, I hope this time it's more. You know what I'm saying? Listen, Joe Biden, he's old. Yes, he is. He's very old. He's slow. But you know what? He is still a way better choice over Donald Trump. Donald Trump is scary to me. This is a guy who never served in anything for this country. I don't think he even has any relatives that have ever served in the military. But he called us veterans, suckers and losers. He said that. His top general, his chief of staff at the time, confirmed that he said that. He said that John McCain wasn't a hero. He said John McCain was a hero because he got captured. John McCain got shot down over Vietnam, a fighter pilot. After many, many successful fighter missions, but he finally got hit with a missile one day. Many fighter pilots were shot down, and many didn't come home. But they were heroes, in my opinion. Everyone that's ever served, in my opinion, is a hero. because we volunteered to serve. And I'm no patriot, but I do love my country. This is my home. This is where I was born and raised. And I want to make sure that going forward, it's going to be a safe place for my grandchildren to grow and prosper in. But when you got somebody like Donald Trump, a 34-time convicted felon, which I don't understand how he can even run. But, I understand the fact because the Constitution has nothing in it that says a felon can't run. But isn't it funny that we have laws and rules that prevent felons from joining the military, but they can run for office to potentially lead the military? Does that make sense? Does that make any damn sense? Not at all. Not at all. But, hey, that's what we got. That's the system we have until we get a Congress in there that can make the laws to prevent that from ever happening again. We're going to get what we get. But we're going to continue to get what we get if you don't participate in the system. And, I hear so many people within my community that say, hey, I'm not voting. I'm not voting. I don't like Joe Biden. He's too damn old. I don't like Kamala Harris. She's a cop. Crazy shit. So you don't vote, which is basically a vote for Donald Trump. Because the Republicans don't want you to vote if you're a minority. They don't want you to vote at all. They want to take away your vote. They've already taken away civil rights. They've reversed civil rights. Do you realize that? They've taken away a lot of women's rights in regards to their health care. I don't like abortions. I don't support abortions. But I have no place deciding for women who may need to have an abortion to save her life. I have no place in deciding for her that she can't get an abortion. I have no right in deciding what anybody does with their own lives. You see, that's what I thought America was all about, was us having the right to choose for ourselves what's best for us in order to live happily, in order to live in prosperity. But we got politicians out here now that think they know better than the women and their doctors. Think about that. Think about that. Even with the transgender thing. I don't care what somebody wants to do to their own body. It's theirs. It's not my body. Just because I don't recognize, you as a male or female, when you do decide to butcher yourself, but that's your choice. I got no right in deciding what you do to yourself. I just don't. But we got politicians out here that think they know best for us, for you, for everybody else. It's not their job. Their job is to make this country work for everybody, regardless of your party affiliation, regardless of your personal feelings about anything. We got the Christian right trying to inject religion into our schools. You see up in Alabama, in a couple of the districts up there, they're required now to teach the Bible. They're required now to post the 10 Commandments in the classrooms. That ain't right. This ain't a Christian country. Contrary to what you might think, all of the founders weren't Christians. But they set it up so that everybody would have the right to worship the way that they chose to worship. In fact, that's why the Pilgrims left England. Because the king at the time was the religion. That's how England is set up. The queen is the head of the church. Of course, now the current king doesn't have the power that the kings had back then, but they're still the head of the Church of England. Bet you didn't know that, did you? However, in England now, they're free to worship any way they choose. They actually have a Muslim prime minister. And everything's fine. Everything's fine. Contrary to popular belief, Barack Obama was not Muslim. He's Christian. He identifies as Christian. But we got a lot of these racists out here that, will call him, something he's not. But this country was not set up to be a Christian country. This country was set up to be a republic in which everybody could worship the way they choose, worship the God that they choose, and separation of church and state was established for a reason, because the church has no place in government. The church is the church, and the government is the government. That's the way it was designed to be. But we have the Christian right now trying to take over, trying to force everybody to follow Christian doctrine. What's wrong with this picture? We have a bona fide racist, fascist, and probably a few other ists trying to be president. And let me tell you, I think if Donald Trump gets reelected, we will be looking at the last elected president in this country for a long, long time. Because if he gets back into the White House, rest assured, he ain't leaving at the end of 4 years. Not this time. See, he's smarter the second time around. He's going to make sure he puts the people in the places that he needs in order to establish himself as strongman Trump, dictator Trump, King Donald. That's what he wants to be. He wants to hold absolute power. And what do they say about absolute power? Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. So we're in trouble, y'all. I hope y'all participate in November. I hope you don't sit at home, thinking your vote don't count. Because as I say every time, if your vote didn't count, the Republicans wouldn't be working so hard to block your vote, and the Democrats wouldn't be working so hard to get your vote. But you got to choose, man. You got to choose. And hopefully, you will choose anybody other than Trump Well, not anybody, because there's a lot of other fools out here that definitely don't need to be in office. But Biden is definitely not the worst of them. Not even close. Biden's just an old man. And you know what? I don't agree with all of his policies, but I don't agree with, I can't even say I don't agree with Donald Trump's policies because he has no policies. That's the problem. He has no policies. He wants to take over, and he wants y'all to do as he says, not as he does. And if he gets back in office, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. We're headed down a dark road, y'all. We're headed down a really dark road. And unfortunately, I feel like the groundwork's been laid already. And I think the outcome is known. And unfortunately, I think it's going to get a lot worse, a whole lot worse before it gets better. I could be wrong. I very well could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. But I don't see any sunshine at the end of this tunnel right now. But we'll see what happens. All right, so anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I think I've rambled on enough. My name's Ken Jackson. This has been the Ken Jackson Experience. If you didn't log on live, that's fine. Check us out on the replay. Leave your comments. Help me make this show better, because I'm going to be doing it every week now. And who knows, I might even move to every night. But I just want to continue to build it and turn it into something that we can all learn from and enjoy. All right, so until next Sunday, 9 p.m., y'all be easy. Stay cool out there. Stay safe. And I hope everybody sees tomorrow. Peace. I'm out.